Welcome to What You Gotta Say. I'm Vincent Squire, and with me is my co-host,
Eric Dawson.
Eric Dawson, Mr. ADOS, and star of the Eric Dawson Show. Now, Eric, let me ask you a question.
Yep.
Have you ever posted something on social media and been cyber challenged and bullied?
Oh, I, I, I don't know that I've been bullied, but I've been cyber challenged. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you about my experience. In fact, I'm going to give you the whole rundown, but we're going to do that in 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
To small business. That's a great way to have generational wealth. If you're a minority business, you may be struggling to keep your head above water. Why? In 2019, the Black community spent $1.5 trillion because the Black dollar lifespan, 28 days Asian communities, 19 days Jewish communities, 6 hours a month in the Black communities. Major brands target the Black media, TV, and radio. That's why Blacks are brand shoppers. That's why they get a big slice of that $1 trillion pie. Your business needs exposure. You got quotes from cable networks and local radio. They charge a lot of money for a little exposure. Networking and social media is a full-time job to get part-time money. Let's look at a successful Black business model. Remember Soul Train? It was a new Black TV show that Johnson Cosmetics increased the exposure of Afro Sheen and made billions of dollars for Bobby Johnson. Where are you gonna find a good show for a low price? We have a talk show called What You Got to Say. What You Got to Say is a Black-owned talk show streaming live on YouTube channels, Facebook Live. What You Got to Say has a diverse audience from 18 to 62 years old, and their gross income range from $32,000 to $122,000 a year. That exposure will get you a good slice of the $1.5 trillion. Tell us about your business. Maybe able to get on our Black-owned spotlight. In 4 weeks, your business can go from surviving to thriving. To find out how you can get what's yours, email sales@squiresignage.com. They're waiting to hear what you got to say.
Okay, Eric. Yesterday, I had a spirited conversation where I put this post up in social media. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, production. Can you show Eric the post, the pictures? We're talking to our producer here, and as he gets them up. Well, this picture here is Makia. She is a 13-year-old who had a steak knife and she was shot and killed by the police. And I post that alongside this picture. You have the other one? Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse, during the Black Lives Matter protest, took his semi-automatic weapon with him across 2 states and killed 3 protesters. Now, okay, drop that. Now, Eric, this is what sparked everything. I said, look at the difference in how white police treat blacks and whites. Kia Rittenhouse had a steak knife. She was killed. Kyle Rittenhouse had a semi-automatic weapon. He was allowed to go home unharmed, go home,
Right.
for killing 3 people. Then they called him to turn himself in. Donald Trump paid for his bail, and he's got hundreds of thousands in GoFundMe money.
Right.
What's the big difference?
So firstly, we got, here's what, so there are a couple of things, right? And it's a lot of nuance here. And we can have the conversation about how Black people are perceived in general, right? We're perceived as being angry, we're perceived as being dangerous, we're perceived as being threatening. So all of those perceptions are out there about Black people. And so, and devalued, right? Worthless. On the other hand, white people are considered valuable or of worth, right? They're perceived as being non-threatening, redeemable, if you will, right? There's no redeeming Black people. And so when there's an encounter between a non-Black person and a Black person, and even Black people, right? The value of the life just isn't the same. So that's one thing, and that's the truth. But now, when you do what you did, though, when you post a picture, now, if you had posted a picture of the police officers who engaged that man with his weapon, and if they were the same police officers who then shot this young lady, then we can have a different kind of discussion, right? But those are two different officers. Now, they're operating under the same system that we always talk about, right? The system that has defined Black people as being worth less. So they're operating under that same system, but they're different police officers.
Different.
So we have to be clear about that.
Different police officers, very similar training, correct?
Well, but again, so let's understand what the training is. The training is, and we all know that there's a discussion about possibly retraining. In fact, I was listening, and in one town, Ithaca, the mayor in Ithaca is now talking about, which I think is very interesting, right? Talking about some civilian people mixed with some other people and whatever, and some armed folks, but not non-police, and then having those different groups respond to calls based on the severity of the call or whatever, right? So we can have that conversation too. But yes, there has been this training that says that police officers come to a scene, right, and based on their perception, right, not only of the scene, but their ingrained thinking about who's at the scene. So think about it. If a woman is there versus a man, police think differently, right? If it's a child versus an adult, police think differently. If it's a Black person versus a white person, they think differently. An Asian versus an Indian, they think differently. And it is all based on the system that they've grown up in.
Well, here's the system, and this is what the system caused. Blacks are most likely to die at the hands of the police than a white person is being in an urban drug-infested neighborhood.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Well,
of course.
Whoa. But a white person in a drug-infested neighborhood has a higher chance of survival with the criminal mindset than a Black person does, being pulled over by a person who's trained and has sworn to protect and serve.
But again, and this country has done this, right? And I truly hope, and I know how optimistic you are, Vincent, that we are making some strides. But folks who I've listened to who have been in this thing for a long time and has seen the uprising, right, based on the brutality shown to and acted on Black people, they've seen it rise to a boil and then simmer down, right? And that's what the fear is again.
Okay.
Look, we know, and we talk about it. It's baked. When we say it's baked into the very DNA of this country, right? Meaning that imagery, teaching, everything says from the time a child is born here in America, what a Black person is, what a white person is, what an Asian person is, what the value of each is, right? That's that caste system that we continue to talk about. So everything in this system informs everybody about that. And so when you now have an officer who has gone from kindergarten all the way up through high school and maybe into college and has been indoctrinated in that thinking his or her entire life,
What is indoctrinated in his thinking about a black person?
That they don't have any value, that they are the most despised group of people here. That's what their thinking is. That's what they've been trained. So let's not talk about police training. See,
More than despised.
but police, see, you're talking about police training, right? Without talking about just human training. So the human training happened and the human socialization happened well before they became a police officer. So if you look at the socialization of that person, their entire life, and then you put on top of that a gun and a badge.
A gun and a badge in the hands of a person who is afraid to the core of his heart of a black person who he has never met.
But now here's the thing, and this is where I separate. Now, with all of that being said, we have responsibilities as black people. So let's take the young lady with the knife. She was wielding a knife. True. He was wielding a knife. Now, what you want in this current construct is a person who has been indoctrinated not to be compassionate, right? To now be compassionate. It's not going to happen. Now, he was within his right. See, and listen.
Right. Here's the thing. They released that because the quote unquote white Minnesota police seemed to believe that was a righteous shoot.
It was a righteous shoot.
Was it? That's a 13-year-old girl.
It doesn't matter. A 13-year-old girl with a knife has the ability to take a life. And the question was posed on social media. Did that police officer take a life or save a life?
With a cheap $1 plus steak knife? Really? That doesn't even cut meat.
Come on, stop it, Vincent.
Stop it.
Listen.
13-year-old girl.
Did you see the video?
I saw both videos.
Right.
They released another video. Okay.
Now, let me ask you a question. I want to ask you a question. And this is an honest question. See, because the pendulum swings both ways. If that officer had done, and I think that this is absurd, and people just need to be knowledgeable, right? Because we watch too much television. Officers are not trained to shoot people in the buttocks.
You're doing television, yeah.
But officers are not trained to shoot people in the buttocks. They're not trained.
Officers are trained to shoot you.
That's right. They're trained to shoot center mass. That's what they're trained to do. That's why it's called deadly force, right? So now you have you have notable media personalities saying, well, why couldn't he have shot in the air? Why couldn't he have shot her in the leg? Why couldn't he have shot her in the arm? Right? So firstly, I would say to people, go to a shooting range and see how difficult it is to hit that target. Right? So now, and the reason that the officers are trained to shoot center mass is because it's the biggest target, right? And they have a better chance of hitting something. So now when you say to that officer, well, we want to narrow the target, we want to make it smaller, and we want you to be able to hit it, then that's unreasonable.
Officers also carry not just a sidearm, but officers also carry body cam and tasers.
I understand that. And so now, again, I've talked to countless officers about all of these shootings that have happened lately. The Adam Toledo shooting, this shooting. I didn't get a chance to talk about the young man who was just shot, but I'm sure we're going to talk about this on the show.
Who was shot in the back?
Who was shot in the back. Now, with a taser, right? When you have, so let's go back to this woman, young lady, and let's go to the call that came into the officer. See, let's go back to the call and the state of mind as the officer pulled up to the scene and saw somebody wielding and lunging with a knife. Now, we can sit here in the comfort of our individual studios in front of our green screens, and we can give hindsight, right? And we can Monday morning quarterback. But that's not really fair to the situation. And so the question I was going to ask you is this. If you were the parent of the girl who she was trying to stab, and the officer tried to tase the girl, but the taser was unsuccessful in deploying or in administering enough voltage, and she happened to stab and kill your child, then you would be suing the officer saying, he knew and he should have, and he came to the scene with the understanding of. We can't do that.
What we're going to do is this. I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to have production pull up that video and the 911 call.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're going to do that in 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Into small business. That's a great way to have generational wealth. If you're a minority business, you may be struggling to keep your head above water. Why? In 2019, the Black community spent $1.5 trillion because the Black dollar lifespan, 28 days Asian communities, 19 days Jewish communities, 6 hours a month in the Black communities. Major brands target the Black media, TV, and radio. That's why Blacks are brand shoppers. That's why they get a big slice of that $1 trillion pie. Your business needs exposure. You got quotes from cable networks and local radio. They charge a lot of money for a little exposure. Networking and social media is a full-time job to get part-time money. Let's look at a successful Black business model. Remember Soul Train? It was a new Black TV show that Johnson Cosmetics increased the exposure of Afro Sheen and made billions of dollars for Bobby Johnson. Where are you going to find a good show for a low price? We have a talk show called What You Got to Say. What You Got to Say is a Black-owned talk show streaming live on YouTube channels, Facebook Live. What You Got to Say has a diverse audience from 18 to 62 years old, and their gross income range from $32,000 to $122,000 a year. That exposure will get you a good slice of the $1.5 trillion. Tell us about your business. Maybe able to get on our Black-owned spotlight. In 4 weeks, your business can go from surviving to thriving. To find out how you can get what's yours, email sales@squiresignage.com. They're waiting to hear what you got to say.
Bryant's death.
Now, we've got our production team right now pulling up that video. So, Eric, again, tell me about how you felt about the video of the body cam.
So, look, like I said, he shows up at the scene, right? He's one officer.
Right. No, there's more officers there.
No, he was a single officer riding in his car.
Right.
He's at the scene. He sees a woman chasing another woman with a gun. Now, and here's the other piece of this, right? You want in these moments
Eric.
to assess, just like, look, I'm gonna tell you, there are a couple of very, very dangerous things that are being done here. One of the things is this. They said that minutes before the verdict of the George Floyd of the Derek Chauvin trial, this officer shot a Black teen female, right? And the implication is dangerous, right? And shame on the media, because it has nothing to do with George Floyd and Derek Chauvin. So they should not have done that.
Well, that's a whole nother rabbit hole, and we'll get to that in just a second.
They shouldn't have done that. But back to the cop, back to the police officer. He arrived at the scene. You want him in those seconds to ascertain that this was a 13-year-old, right? No. I would rather say that when he came up, he realized somebody else was in danger.
Eric,
somebody's life was in danger.
Eric, let's not ascertain what you think I want to happen. What I want to know is what you think happened.
What I think happened was he arrived at the scene. He saw a young lady running for her life because she was being chased by another young lady who had a knife. And his job is to serve and protect. And what he did was he saved that young girl's life in his mind.
Okay. John, whenever video is ready, let me know. Is it ready? Okay. Now, from what I saw was this. I saw the officer get out of his car. Now, I also saw that there were a lot of officers there. Now, I saw another woman I saw the young lady push another young lady down. From that particular time, and then I saw a young man kick the girl that was pushed down in the face.
How many times you watched the video?
3. Because that's all I can take.
Right, but you watched it 3 times from the comfort of your home. Right? That officer was acting in real time.
Excuse me. Let me finish with how I felt about it, or what I saw. Okay? Then I saw her go after another woman who raised her feet. The girl backed up, and the officers started yelling, "Get down, get down," and then shots rang out, and you see the 13-year-old lying dead.
Right.
Okay?
She shouldn't have had the knife. She shouldn't have had the knife. She shouldn't have gone after another person with a knife. She should not have done that.
Here is the thing. White police officers,
Let me ask you a question. Do you defend her behavior?
No, I'm not defending her behavior.
Did you say her behavior was? Would you say that her behavior was life-threatening to another individual? That
No.
if the officer had not interceded,
No.
would she have tried?
I don't consider a dollar store steak knife to be life-threatening. In
All
fact,
right. let me run at you with a dollar store steak.
steak knife out, I'd sit up there and laugh at him. Okay? So no, I didn't consider
I think that your comments are being very dangerous,
Wait a
right?
minute. Wait, let me answer your question even further. No, if I was a young white cop looking at a bunch of girls fighting, even with one with a steak knife, I wouldn't feel threatened.
No. He didn't say he felt threatened. He was saving the life of somebody who she was threatening.
He was saving the life. If he was thinking about his training, the first thing that should not have came to his mind was grab his gun. He's got tasers.
Wow.
And he's got other cops.
Why don't you become a police officer then?
Police officer. I was an MP. I did it for years.
No. Why don't you become a police officer in those neighborhoods?
Well, first of all, I don't live in those neighborhoods. Second,
There we go. And maybe there lies the issue, right? Maybe there lies the issue, right?
the second thing is that they've got age requirements, and a man, in his latent stage will not become a police officer. Okay, so let's stop that bull. Now let's look at it. He's got more cops around, and he's got a girl with a dollar store steak knife who's just swinging it.
So I'm trying to understand.
Let me finish.
Does a dollar. So are you suggesting? Because I want to put that to rest.
Okay, now this is what we're going to do. I'm going to talk, and then you're going to talk. Okay? Now, I see a white officer see a girl being pushed down with a knife in her hand. She has a girl on the ground, yet did not stab her. She went for the other one the same way, just flailing, not trying to stab her. He has a taser, he has a sidearm, and he's got other cops around her. The first thing that comes to his mind should not be bust a cap in this child. Now, go ahead. You're going to have to unmute yourself. Okay.
Okay, so you're doing a couple things here. One, you're minimizing the knife by saying it's a dollar store steak knife, implying that it can't kill somebody. The second thing that you're doing here is you're saying that she was wielding her knife, but she wasn't trying to stab. Did she tell you she wasn't trying to stab her?
Well, let's see. She had the other girl on the ground, and she had the knife in her hand. She didn't stab her.
No.
She
But all you can say though,
stabbed the girl on the ground.
You didn't know what was in the mind of that young girl.
Well, obviously it wasn't in her mind to kill someone, or she would have took the easiest victim, the girl on the ground.
No, you can't do that. See, doing those, making those kinds of leaps, right? In terms of, so what I would say is this: the young lady had a mental illness, right? See, and you ignore that, right? See, and so here's the things. So now you're saying logically, she should have done X, Y, and Z if she was trying to kill somebody.
Okay.
But what you're not talking about is the mental illness that this young lady suffered from. And
Okay.
so now, in her mental state, you're on the show talking about how if she was logically thinking about doing something, she would have done X, Y, and Z from the comfort of your own home.
Okay, Eric, so you're proposing that a police officer is confronted with someone with a mental illness, that they should just bust a cap in them. Is that
He didn't know she had a mental illness.
okay? Thank you.
You don't know why.
Okay, so that tells you one thing: she's not looking at murder.
That doesn't tell you that.
No,
Where do
it.
you get that from? All you know, and all I know now is this. If I looked and based on what information I have now, I say, wow, she didn't do this, she did this, she did this. But you know what? She wasn't in her right mind. So she was erratic.
Is the clip ready? If the clip's ready, run the clip.
Hey. What's going on? Hey, what's going on? Hey, get down, get down, get down, get down.
Okay, let's run it.
It all happened in
All right,
seconds.
here is
A
the
police-
body cam footage of Miss Brown. Can we see it?
Hey. What's going on? Hey, what's going on? Hey, get down, get down.
See, he's got his gun drawn automatically. The first thing he did was draw his gun. Hold on. Can you rewind that? Can you run that again? He's out of the car. See the girl in the pink? She comes down. The girl's down. She's swailing. She's got the knife in her hand. She did not attack her.
Right, she went after the other girl.
She goes
What are
after.
you talking about?
She knocked the girl.
Wait a minute, Vincent. I mean,
Here it comes again.
she knocks the one girl goes to the ground. She goes after the other girl. So now let's understand what's happening. So the officer, as you can see, if you're watching the video, the officer approaches the scene, and through his body camera, you can see his left hand up. His left hand is up. You don't see a gun yet.
He's on his gun.
No. Okay, Vincent. So if you just want hyperbole and just want to make stuff up, we can do that, right?
Yes, she run the clip again. His left hand's up. His right hand's on his gun.
No, I'm not saying his right hand's not on his gun. So stop the clip right there. Pause it, please.
See, there you go.
Let me. Okay. So I'm not gonna yell. I'm not gonna talk over you.
Go ahead. I'll let you dissect this.
Right.
We'll disseminate off of your.
Right. So here's what I see. Let's start with the officer being called to the scene because there was a weapon and somebody felt their life was being threatened. So now the officer comes to the scene. He sees the chaos. He now, with his left hand is up, is saying, hey, wait, now look at the one girl. She gets knocked to the ground, right? Officer has his hand up. Stop. Now, the girl with the knife is going after the other girl. See her running after the other girl. She's running after the other girl with her knife in the hand. Look at the girl's leg up in the air. The girl's leg is up in the air in fear of being stabbed. What are you talking about? Look at that.
Now,
Look at it. Now, wait a minute. From where the officer is, which looks to be about 20 yards away or 15 yards away, what should that officer do right now? Look at that scene. Look at that freeze frame. The girl in the pink is fearing for her life. The other woman has a knife. What should that officer do right now?
okay.
Stop it. You're being dangerous.
Okay, now can you run it back again for me? He comes there, hand up. Hold it, stop right there. Now,
What should he do?
he's got his hand.
What should he do right now?
What should he do right now?
Right now.
Hold on. According to my police training that I had, military, you assess the situation.
Which is why he has his hand up.
Okay, so now he's assessing the situation.
That's right.
Roll 4 seconds.
Stop, please. Now he sees an attack.
No, Eric, I let you explain it.
Go ahead.
Sir, stop right there. Now, he saw her take her down. He saw the knife in her hand. The first thing that he went for was what? You see it right there. His gun.
What should he have done, Vincent, is what I'm asking you.
What should
Right now, look at this scene right here. What should he have done?
What he should have done right now was tackle that girl. That's how you neutralize it. That's how you do it. Or, wait a minute, or go for his taser. Because one of the things that they teach you in the force is you are supposed to meet force with equal force, not overwhelming force.
Okay.
That was proven through the George Floyd video. Now, hold it, wait a minute, back that up 3 seconds for me.
You're being absurd. I'm just letting you know.
Okay, well, that's your opinion. Now, she's down. The girl knocks her down.
1 second. Hold it right there.
I'm still going through this. The girl.
Don't move, but leave that right there because I want you to go. Please do not fast forward this video from there. Go ahead, Vincent.
I'm going to fast forward this, but the girl is down. If she had an intent to cause bodily harm, she is at her most vulnerable and most opportune time to cause it. What does she do? Roll the count forward.
No, don't, because let's do this, Vincent. So right now,
Eric,
no, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not because it's bullshit, Vincent. It's like I don't want to spend my time having like senseless conversation, right? I want to have real conversation. That girl right now is threatening 2 girls right now. She has yet to pass the one who's on the ground, so that girl is still vulnerable, and the one in the pink dress or pink outfit is moving away. So that one girl in the jeans is a threat to both of those girls right now.
Okay, now, to cover that, if she is a threat to both of those girls, because the one most vulnerable is the one on the ground, what does she do if she's a real threat? Roll it. Runs right past her.
Correct.
Over to the next one.
Correct.
If the girl had an intent to kill anybody, it would have been then.
Wait
What?
a minute, Vincent.
Now,
What is she gonna do to this girl in the pink? What is she gonna do there? What do
Eric,
you think she's getting ready to do?
Eric, no. Okay, can you roll it some more? Okay, they cut the last part. Okay,
Because he got shot.
okay, they cut the last part out. After
Because she got shot.
Hold it. Whoa, right. Back it up a little bit. I want to show him this. Now, right there, stop. Look at there. behind, now back it up a little more. Back it up some more. Behind his car, there are three other police officers, three other cars. Cops are getting out.
Yeah, but he was the first to the scene.
Enough resources to either de-escalate or tase.
Vincent, okay, you know what, Vincent? You are a dangerous person. I'm going to tell you that, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You are a dangerous person, and you should not have a platform. You really should. You are dangerous. You are as dangerous as the rest of the people who take this stuff and light fire under it in order to get clickbait or whatever it is that you choose to do. This is very dangerous, right? And I can't be a part of it. This young lady who's up against the car, she's got her knee up trying to protect herself, and you're saying that that officer should have somehow run over there in time to be able to tackle her right there when she has her leg up trying to save her life. Trying to save her life right there. Look at that scene right there.
Let me see if I get this right. You're saying that
I said what I said. I don't need you to repeat it.
oh no, I just want to be clear in the understanding in what you
Well,
said.
then ask me to clarify it, and I'll clarify it.
No, let me go through this so I can see where it is cloudy, and then you can clarify it. So you're saying that this officer who saw this woman with a knife push a woman down as she's down, does not attack or cause harm to her, run to another one. He's got his, and the first thing that he should do is to protect the other one, is to pull out his sidearm and bust a cap in her?
All right, so the whole bust a cap in her thing, right? That whole, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, to create and to gen up this whatever, I don't know what it is. So here's what I see. And I said this from the beginning, and you saw the other police officers in the car because they arrived after him. He arrived to the scene first, a single officer in his car. So as far as he knew, backup was coming, but he was the only one there. He gets out of the car because he's being called to a scene where somebody says that they're in fear for their life. He holds his hand up in order to try to assess and evaluate the situation. The one girl that so she's after two girls now, right? She's got a knife, right? You want to minimize that by calling it a dollar store steak knife, right? But it can kill. So she's got a knife. He sees that. The one girl falls to the ground, right? Why she bypassed her to go after the other one? I'm not there. I don't hear audio. Maybe the other girl called her a name, right? But what I do know now in retrospect is that the girl with the knife had mental illness. So the girl who's got the pink on, maybe she distracted her by saying something to her that caused her to come after her, which then gave the officer enough time to actually save her life. See, that's how I look at it.
He had more than enough time to
Okay.
his taser.
All right. See, I would like to have a police officer on, any police officer on, to talk about this, because they will tell you. They will all tell you.
Okay.
And now, had he pulled his taser out, like I said, and if his taser malfunctioned, and then that girl in that pink outfit got stabbed and died, that officer would be on trial. People would be talking about how he didn't do his job properly. All of these things would be happening, right? So you want him to be perfect, because you want a perfect outcome in a screwed up situation. It's a screwed up situation because the girl had a knife, right? She made some very bad choices with that knife, and as a result, she lost her life. That is a fact. And now to ask that a police officer come there and act perfectly the way you would like him to act is just dangerous. Dangerous. He's muted.
Oh, well, I didn't want to interrupt your dialogue, so I mean,
I love you, brother, but I gotta vehemently disagree with you on that.
well, duh. Who didn't you agree with me on this point? Let's look at it. One thing that they did tell us in military police training, okay? The best weapon that you can ever use is your brain to de-escalate a situation, okay? Because you're coming in hot. And why do they say use your brain? Because there's always a level of hypervigilance. What we see time and time and time again is that white police officers have a heightened sense of vigilance when they are dealing with black people. And the result is usually bad for the black people.
And I don't disagree with that. That's how it started off, right? But we have to, we just like with Adam Toledo, right? We have to look and say, yo, she had a knife. Yo, he had a gun.
Oh, they found out he didn't have a gun.
What?
Yes.
That's not true.
Okay, but I'm going to verify that, and I need to check it.
No, that's not true, Vincent. That he tossed that gun. There was a gun at the scene behind the thing.
Yeah, but they're investigating that. And then we have the other situation where the sheriffs in North Carolina was serving a warrant and shot the man in the back.
Right. Now that...
Vigilant. Okay, well, let's take it back to George Floyd, where all of a sudden Derek Chauvin, who knows George Floyd, now has a sense of hypervigilance because he's taking on this huge, towering, muscular black man. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. Okay, let's look at the quote-unquote security guard who killed Tamar.
Right. And
Eric Gardner.
Right. So Chauvin is being held accountable for his actions, right? And like I said to you before, I am surprised but grateful, right, that the jury, held him accountable. And yes, far too often, because of the devaluing of black skin here in America, right? Like all we are in the minds of many, a commodity to their wealth and to their power. We are threatening to them, right? And so that's how they behave. So the question is, so we understand it all, and no matter how much you try to retrain a racist or a biased officer, still going to be a racist and a biased officer. That's fact.
Oh, no, it's not that. It's what we do is this. We take a fearful, race, hate-driven, hate people of color other than those who grew up in this little 4-square block town, and we give them a badge, a gun, and qualified immunity. That is a recipe for what we've been getting.
Well, but so look.
Eric, on your show, when not before the George Floyd incident, there was the other shooting that we talked about. A friend of yours who was a cop called in, and he said something so profound I will never forget it. He says, "I don't care. You can train a person, you can train them, give them a gun, but if they're a coward, all they are is a coward with a badge and a gun, and that's dangerous." Because the first thing that they do at any given point where they feel fear, quote unquote, fear of the black man, quote unquote, fear of the 13-year-old black girl with a steak knife, quote unquote, fear of the 13-year-old boy with a pack of Skittles, quote unquote, fear of the black man who's selling Lucy's, quote unquote, fear of the girl who is now asking him, "Why did you pull me over?" quote unquote, it ends up bad.
So, right. So what you cannot do, right? And what I won't allow people to do is to, in the midst of understanding the current climate, right? The 400-year climate that the Black American has found himself and herself in, right? 400 years since we were kidnapped, our ancestors were kidnapped, enslaved, and brought here. So, where's the accountability with Adam Toledo and his family, and why he was out at 2:00 in the morning with a gun? Let's have that conversation, right? This young lady who had the knife, right? What was going on there? Right. So we can't just jump to this other thing. Yeah, we know this thing exists, but we've got these other things that we have to take care of and make sure that we have straight, right? We can't just say, because we understand the climate. And so, like, hell, just because I see a white guy walk down the street with a AK-47 and he doesn't get shot, I know that I can't walk down the street with an AK-47 and not get shot. And so why would I pick up an AK-47 and walk down the street? And so we have to have that conversation about how we take care of ourselves, right? And so in the Adam Toledo situation, I am deeply concerned that they have made this kid who had a gun, who was out at 2:00 in the morning, who was with people where gunshots were going off, that they're making this kid out in their neighborhood to be a good kid. I'm saying, well, what do we define good as? My kids are good kids. So when I look at my kids, I go, wait a minute. So if he's a good kid, and I look and say, my kid's a good kid, well, somebody's not right, right? Your kid's a good kid, right? Your kid doesn't carry a gun, right? Your kid doesn't wield a steak knife, whether it's from a dollar store or from Williams-Sonoma, right? But your kid's a good kid. So now when I put your kid next to this kid, they both can be good kids.
Well, first of all, let's do two things. Let's now look at accountability. Now, I take accountability for my children. I take accountability for their actions. I take accountability when I make an action against them. One of the things that my son will tell you, that I always say to him, his faults as a child will always reflect my failures being his father. That's how much accountability I will take on my child. Now, I'm not going to say, okay, that now, in terms of the Adam Toledo, no, I've got some things about a 13-year-old being out at 2:30 in the morning, or 2+ in the morning, or close to 3 a.m. All right, but then I have to look at, there were some times when I was a teenager and I hung out in my neighborhood till about 3 a.m. because I felt safe. All right, and my parents knew where I was.
No, my parents, listen, at 13 years old, there's no way my parents would ever let me hang
Yes,
out. What is out there at 3 a.m. in the morning?
Those summer days as a kid in Philadelphia at 3 a.m. where it was too hot to sleep. We were all outside. Our parents were nearby, and we were all out. And in fact, they even brought the radio. We were listening to WDAS and partying until the neighbors called the cops and we had to go in. But here's the big thing. There is a level that police officers treat blacks, in which we saw. Now, let me show you how they treat blacks. Run the clip of the guy in the truck. This is how they treat white people.
We can figure this out.
And run it so Eric can see it.
We can talk about it with you not listening to us.
You're not listening. You're first of the drive.
All I'm asking you to do.
You're violating my rights right now. Let go of me.
You just put your hand
Can't
on
hear
the
it.
gun, sir.
Whoa. No, you pulled a gun on me unconstitutionally.
Please.
And I did my in response.
We don't want to do this, man.
Right.
Listen, we can figure this out. We can talk
Okay,
about this.
now, here's a white guy. Now, they caught him, expired tags, he's drunk. Now, you've got flashlights on him. You don't see any guns drawn. You've got another cop with his hand on him, right? What does he do? He's talking.
But let me ask you a question. Stop for
We
1
don't want to
second.
do this, man.
Yeah,
Just get out of the car. I'm just asking. We'll get this figured out. Just come out and just get out of the car.
Release me now.
can't do that.
Release it. Why is that a minute drive?
Okay. Just get out of the car. Come on, come back here. We'll talk about it.
We'll get myself cast doctrine. You know that.
They haven't died, right?
Okay. Whoa. Look. Now, he now makes an aggressive move by snapping his arm away from the police officer.
Right,
who-
but he still has his hands up.
Whoa. No. He shuts his door now. Now, look. Now he's got a gun on him.
Right, that's right. That's
Oh,
right. That's
now-
absolutely right.
Right? He's got his hands out. He's got his car door shut. Now he's got a gun on him.
Right.
Look at all that time he got.
Okay, but Vincent, you're suggesting that what we're watching there, I'm gonna ask you, are you suggesting?
Eric, look, this is what he does. He puts his car in gear and takes off.
Right. Let me ask you a question, Vincent.
Whoa. What happened with the guy who was pulled over for an air freshener?
Vincent, let me ask you a question. Are you suggesting that what we just saw there has never happened with a black driver?
It never happened to my black behind.
No. And I see this is where I say we have to have this straight conversation. Are you suggesting that that has never happened to a black driver? Are you suggesting that no black drivers have been belligerent and survived a traffic stop by a white officer? Are you suggesting that?
I have yet to hear the testimony of at least 3 black people who were belligerent, aggressive, pulled away from the police officer.
Let me ask you a question. Are you suggesting that there has never been a black person who was stopped by a white officer and belligerent and did not get shot? Are you suggesting that?
No, but what I am this is what I am suggesting, Eric, and let me be clear, that all the courtesy that they gave that white man, they did not do to that young man that they just buried Friday.
No, I agree. I agree that they didn't give it to that.
Hold on. Run the clip of the stabbing. The police officer being stabbed with a gun with a knife.
What I call cherry picking, right?
Oh, no. Yes, it is. But I'll tell you what, if you got some clips that you want to prove your point, we'll pull.
But my thing is, because you could have spent the time finding a clip of a black man who was belligerent and who did not get shot, just like the white guy was belligerent and did not get shot. And then you could have put those side by side. But that would not underline your narrative.
To save 3 minutes of you explaining it, Google it and find it while we run this clip. Run the clip. Now, take a look at this one. That's a white guy. That's the body cam of, look at there, a black police officer. So he goes over to the white kid. This is what the white kid does. He stabs him with a knife and takes off running. Now, hold it. Freeze it right there. You see that? That knife. Eric, did you see the knife that he stabbed the cop with? That wasn't a steak knife. That was a real knife. He takes off running. Now, according to you, this officer has every right, and it's a righteous bust for him to pull out his gun, which he has right now, and bust a cap at him, correct? Okay, this is what happens. He's chasing him. He puts his gun away. He pulls out his taser. And he's down. That's good policing.
Well, I think that that's compassionate policing, right?
So you're saying that the white guy didn't have compassion for that 13-year-old girl?
Well, what? Right. So again, I look.
So that passion tainted his feelings.
Right. There is a value system here, right? And the value system is the lighter you are, the more valuable you are. The darker you are, the more worthless you are. That is it, right? Hey. Everybody operate. So we have the honest conversation without even in the black community that exists, right? So if you're light skinned versus dark skinned.
When I grew up, they said the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
Vincent, see, this is what I'm saying. You have to, okay, I can't, Vincent. I can't. It's documented, right? So you could talk about your personal experience, right? But the fact is, not my personal experiences, but just the facts are that within the black community, and we were trained this way, just read the Willie Lynch letter. It talks about it, how the darker you were more despised. The lighter you are, the fairer you were, the more privileges you received, all the way to being white.
Okay, Eric, that's a whole nother show. But let's get
but it speaks to why. It speaks to why police officers, whether they're black or white, behave the way they did. Listen, tell this statistic,
Eric,
right?
Eric, I got a question. Did
Yeah.
you find a belligerent black person talking to a white officer yet?
But no, but I'm not looking for it because I want to keep my eye on the camera. But let's talk about the black officers that brutalize black people in black neighborhoods.
We have yet to find a body cam, Eric, of a black officer unjustly killing a black man. We haven't found that yet.
I'm not talking. No. I'm not talking about. I didn't say kill.
We just saw a black officer, in your own words, has the right to bust a hole in this white boy who stabbed him.
Vincent. I'm not talking about kill, right? But I'm saying terrorize. I'm saying brutalize. How many black officers? Do you know how many reports there are in urban communities by black men and women about how black officers mistreat them? Let's have that conversation.
Well, we will address that because that's a whole nother show. Right now,
It's not. It all ties in.
Really? So now we're going to interject. Now we're going to interject that. Oh, well, blacks get abused by black officers too.
No, it goes to the value system, Vincent. It goes to the value system, right? So black officers understand the value system too, that white people are more valuable and black people are more dispensable. We're
going to take a break. We're going to look up and find a black belligerent person on YouTube who gets away with being disrespectful to an officer, and he just gets to drive away. And if we can't find that, we'll go into close. Also, for all those people on social media, you cyber bullies and terrorists who told me that I was race baiting, that I didn't know what I was talking about, I gave you the opportunity to come on this show and speak your point, and we can back it up with anything you want. Because none of you showed up, which shows me the cowards that you are, that you like to believe and understand that there isn't a problem with unequal justice. There is not a problem with blacks and the police officers, especially the white police officers. And as Eric mentioned, even sometimes the black police officers, because you did not do it, it proves my point. You are consciously ignorant of the fact of unequal justice to black people. Now, we're going to come back and find a clip of that happening, which I don't think there's very many, but we're going to be back in 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
To small business. That's a great way to have generational wealth. If you're a minority business, you may be struggling to keep your head above water. Why? In 2019, the black community spent $1.5 trillion because the black dollar lifespan, 28 days Asian communities, 19 days Jewish communities, 6 hours a month in the black communities. Major brands target the black media, TV, and radio. That's why blacks are brand shoppers. That's why they get a big slice of that $1 trillion pie. Your business needs exposure. You got quotes from cable networks and local radio. They charge a lot of money for a little exposure. Networking and social media is a full-time job to get part-time money. Let's look at a successful black business model. Remember Soul Train? It was a new black TV show that Johnson Cosmetics increased the exposure of Afro Sheen and made billions of dollars for Bobby Johnson. Where are you going to find a good show for a low price? We have a talk show called What You Got to Say. What You Got to Say is a black-owned talk show streaming live on YouTube channels, Facebook Live. What You Got to Say has a diverse audience from 18 to 62 years old, and their gross income range from $32,000 to $122,000 a year. That exposure will get you a good slice of the $1.5 trillion. Tell us about your business. Maybe able to get on our Black-owned spotlight. In 4 weeks, your business can go from surviving to thriving. To find out how you can get what's yours, email sales@squiresignage.com. They're waiting to hear what you got to say.
Hey guys, welcome back to What You Got to Say. We're having another spirited conversation. Today we're talking about how valued Black Americans are in the value system, and how precious white lives seem to be, and why in that system we see so many unfortunate shootings and even deaths at the hands of white police officers. So thank you guys for tuning in and listening. And I'm here with my co-host, Vincent Squire.
Okay. Well, now, I understand that there may be a clip of a black person being disrespectful to a police officer and surviving. But let me give you another point of how police officers treat blacks versus whites. January 6th. Movement, and they had a rally, and anybody in that movement says we're going to march to the Capitol and take back our country, okay, they would have had the National Guard on alert.
Well, the National Guard was on alert.
Let me finish. If that was a Black Lives Matter group that went up there and stormed the Capitol, all of those white officers, and believe me, the Capitol is highly armed. I did duty there. It is highly armed with very sophisticated weaponry for those police. They would have pulled that out and shot them. Now you can't tell me if there were black people banging and trying to crush a window in the Capitol that no officer wouldn't have, one of those officers wouldn't pull out their service weapon and shot them.
So if coulda, woulda, I don't know, right? What I am saying is this, that thank goodness that nobody from Black Lives Matter went there to do that, right? For the officers who, and you know, they're still investigating, I think, to determine what insider, they thought that to some extent this was an inside job too, right? So they're trying to figure that out. And those people will hopefully be held accountable for their actions. Look,
Eric,
yeah.
You can't tell me that there isn't a level of fear of a black man from a police officer.
No, I didn't say no, but we've gone down that road already, right? Yes, I think more than fear, there is a devaluing. I keep talking about this value system. More than fear, there's disdain, right? More than fear, there's disdain.
I think the disdain and devaluation comes greatly to do with their fear.
I think that, see, when you're an officer and you shoot, right, you can't say, I didn't value the person or I had disdain for them, but you can say I fear for my life. And that's where we get the fear from, right? Because
and that for 400 years.
The thing that they get off with, right? By saying I feared for my life, right? I fear for my life. But I think that in the end, it's not fear. I think that it is disdain and it is devaluing. When they get called to a scene and they're told it's an African American or Black or whatever they use, right? It's a trigger, right? Something, so it's a series of things now that go off that assesses the situation, much like if they were to say, you know, you're going to a scene and the person is highly intoxicated, right? The officer now has that information. That's an input. Highly intoxicated. And so they say, well, if he's highly intoxicated, he may be belligerent, he may be violent, he may be these things, right? They come with those things, right? So when they say Black, that officer comes with another set of things.
Okay. All right, we got a clip ready. Let's see some blacks. Let's see if we can find anything. Oh, by the way, our crack team of investigating in terms of body cams and everything that's all over social media, and we were looking for a clip where a Black person was disrespectful, belligerent, and not compliant to the police officer and was allowed to get away with it. We haven't found any, but we have found this. Run it, John.
Body cams captured video, but not audio of the encounter. The image is now at the heart of a federal
Now,
civil
this is a
rights
Black
lawsuit.
man disrespecting a Black police
Man, I
officer.
ain't gonna lie, when you get nervous, you get even more nervous once
August in Humboldt Park, when two Chicago police officers ran up to him,
And you
slammed
see
him
the
against
white
brick
officer.
wall,
You see him
and smashed
swinging?
his head onto the sidewalk more than once.
I told him, like, sir, I'm not resisting. I just want to get.
Now he's trying to sue because he was disrespectful. He was he was flailing his arms. The Black officer grabbed him by the neck and took him
He
down.
slammed me again, thinking I'm resisting.
The officers are soon surrounded by angry witnesses at the scene. The video appears to show Kennedy.
And as you
Walker
see,
as he
everybody
drove
got
over
their cameras up.
He says he suffered a concussion, as well as cuts to his face and hand and wrist injuries. In this police report, officers say they
Now,
confronted
you don't see him
Kennedy
shot.
because he had a shot. Say they thought Kennedy was attempting to conceal a firearm, but no weapon or drugs were found. And later, after
You don't even see him handcuffed.
the
Look.
officers appeared to have little to say.
You don't see his gun out and him thinking it's a taser. Okay, thank you. There is a problem. The way that our justice system handles and approaches Black people. Bottom line.
It's not like so look, it's not the justice system, it's the system, right? And then from that, cancer that metastasizes, whether it's in the justice system, whether it's in the law enforcement system, whether it's in the education system, whether it's in the prison system, whether it's in whatever other system, right? There, it starts with the devaluing of, right, one group, right? Like I said, the most despised group. That's what we are. And whites are taught that, and Blacks are taught that too. And Blacks are taught that if you despise other Blacks, we'll accept you to a point, right? So in order to be accepted, right, they, like that Black officer, right? He wants to show that white officer, hey, listen, you know, I understand too. And so
Good old boys. But he still never gets invited to the fishing trip or the barbecue.
you remember the scene in Boys in the Hood
Mm-hmm.
where the Black officer and the white officer came to the house?
I remember it well.
Right. Or when they stopped Trey, and then the Black officer, right. See, but that is the mentality, right? It's like, you know, yeah. See, I'm one of them now. I'm not you. I don't want to be identified as the despised class. So I will despise the despised class in order to gain acceptance with the preferred class.
let me interpret that for those who have not matriculated. What Eric was saying was that the black officer who was working with the white officer brutalized another black man so that he could go, see, Massa, I'm a good boy.
That's absolutely right.
Let's go to break, and then we're going to have we're going to have some closing remarks. Now we'll be back in 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
To small business. That's a great way to have generational wealth. If you're a minority business, you may be struggling to keep your head above water. Why? In 2019, the black community spent $1.5 trillion because the black dollar lifespan, 28 days Asian communities, 19 days Jewish communities, 6 hours a month in the black communities. Major brands target the black media, TV, and radio. That's why blacks are brand shoppers. That's why they get a big slice of that $1 trillion pie. Your business needs exposure. You got quotes from cable networks and local radio. They charge a lot of money for a little exposure. Networking and social media is a full-time job to get part-time money. Let's look at a successful black business model. Remember Soul Train? It was a new black TV show that Johnson Cosmetics increased the exposure of Afro Sheen and made billions of dollars for Bobby Johnson. Where are you gonna find a good show for a low price? We have a talk show called What You Got to Say. What You Got to Say is a black-owned talk show streaming live on YouTube channels, Facebook Live. What You Got to Say has a diverse audience from 18 to 62 years old, and their gross income range from $32,000 to $122,000 a year. That exposure will get you a good slice of the $1.5 trillion. Tell us about your business. Maybe able to get on our black-owned spotlight. In 4 weeks, your business can go from surviving to thriving. To find out how you can get what's yours, email sales@squiresignage.com. They're waiting to hear what you got to say.
Hey, I'm Eric Dawson, and I'm here with my co-host Vincent Squire. What you got to say? This has been a heck of a show. It's and it's a toll on us emotionally as we talk about what continues to happen to black and brown people at the hands of law enforcement and the justice system here in America. The question is, as the rabbi says from the wise ones, how long, right? Or as Dr. King asks, where do we go from here?
Well, what I'm finding out is that black America is sick and tired of being abused and unequal justice. And here's the thing. The unequal justice is caused by the abuser. After the police officer does him dirty, then he writes up a report, which is difficult for him to fight in court. And then he does time. Again, abused, victimized twice by the same person in the same system. In fact, black America is now sick and tired of being sick and tired of this abuse. The most powerful weapon that we have right now is this. Take your phones out when you see a black person being stopped. Pull over and turn your camera on and watch the reaction of the police officers. It changes. We have the power to stop this. We have the power to make changes, because after we videotape it, then we call Benjamin Crump, who now sues them for millions of dollars. The best way and the best weapon that we have of stopping this system is bankrupting it. Let us record this, process this, GoFundMe to get your legal fees paid, and sue these municipalities, sue these states for every freaking dime that they have. When they have to stop all this other